shows how broken we are. How much we really have. Oh my God!
Yo, sometimes you just gotta know when it's over. Is it time for black men to get out of the car? Is it time for us to dump ESPN over this Malika chick? It might be that time. Good day, good people. It's your mail carrier QT Dub with another edition of the Independent Mail. Now, last week I was knee deep in Titan sub videos, and I was unaware of Malika Andrews and her NBA draft coverage, which included her typical ambush of a black man.
Gotcha, bitch.
But thanks to the good brother Theo Coop over at the Do Better podcast,
salute to the squad,
her shenanigans were on full display. Let's check some of them out, and I'll give you my comments and then questions. Let's go.
His name did surface in court testimony involving a case where his former teammate and another man, they've been indicted for capital murder in the fatal shooting of 23-year-old Jamia Harris in January. The University of Alabama has described Miller as a cooperating witness. How is this factoring, if at all, into how teams are evaluating him?
Yeah, Malika, part of the...
I don't think it would be brought up at all if it wasn't for Malika just bringing it up on national television right now.
absolutely agree.
Miller has not been charged with any crime. The Crimson Tide stating in part that it, quote, continues to cooperate fully with law enforcement in the ongoing investigation and that Miller is not considered a suspect in this case, only a cooperative witness.
All right, so let's just run down about 4 or 5 facts that we know based on this stuff. Number one, we know that Malika reports exclusively on NBA. That's what she does for ESPN. She reports on NBA games, content, players, all things regarding the NBA. Okay. Number two, what do we know? We know that the NBA is comprised or made up of 73.2% African Americans or black men, right? Number three, what do we know? We know that Malika enjoys ambushing black men. We're not going to infer or get into what reasons why. We're not going to say she hates black men. We're not going to go who hurt her, any of that stuff. We're just going to say based off her behavior, we know she enjoys doing this. She does it at every opportunity. And now she's getting so desperate to do it that she's looking for bar fights in case with the coach in Boston and now cooperating witnesses.
And now could become the NBA's youngest head coach at 34 years old. And we'd be remiss not to also mention that Missoula was arrested twice at West Virginia, once in 2008 for underage drinking and aggravated assault. He pled guilty, paid a fine, and then again in 2009 for domestic battery after an incident at Morgantown Bar. The domestic battery case never went to trial. It was settled in August of 2009. He paid a $100 fine and court costs, plus had to do 40 hours of community service. Now, that was 13 years ago. He settled and paid both fines. So, Woj, why are the Celtics choosing him?
All right, what else do we know? Well, number four, we know it's evident that we see it. Black men are aware of this, and you can tell because there are several podcasts and talk shows of black men pointing this out, this being her behavior, every instance that she does this. And this is podcasts from small to large, and some of these podcasts are comprised of ex-NBA players, which brings me to point number 5. ESPN knows that we know. ESPN is not in the silo. Like I said, some of these talk shows and podcasts, they're hosted by ex-NBA players. So ESPN is aware that we are noticing Malika and we don't like it. This brings me to my question portion. Why hasn't someone at ESPN called her into the office? Any man watching this video knows that if a guy says anything remotely annoying about a woman, most media organizations and corporations will immediately reprimand him, if not get rid of him altogether. See Don Lemon.
Nikki Haley is in her prime.
Sorry, you're fired. Get out of here.
Okay, now I'm not asking for her to get fired. I don't want anybody to lose their job, especially a black woman. I don't want that, but she needs to knock it off. And somebody at ESPN, they need to let her know that. You thought that it would have happened after she was disrespectful to Stephen A. You thought it would have happened then.
Stephen A. with all due respect, this is not about pointing the finger. Stop. We are not here, Stephen A., to further blame women.
And you know what? Maybe ESPN should reassign her. Maybe assign her to golf or tennis or hockey or NASCAR. You know, that way she doesn't have to be bothered using all of her extra time to be looking up criminal records. I mean, you know, who cares about a few DUIs? I mean, you know what I'm saying? You know, they don't. So what am I saying? Am I calling for an all-out boycott? No. But what I am saying is maybe it's time to start exercising our options a little bit more. If we're just looking for the scores, some highlights, some analysis, maybe even the latest sports gossip, get it elsewhere. And players, you athletes, don't answer her questions. Don't answer Malika's questions. I know you're obligated to answer the media and the press, but not hers.
What a stupid question that is. What a stupid question. But I watch you a lot. You ask a lot of stupid questions.
Not hers. Anybody else on the network, not hers. Let's give her something she can feel. Because you know what? You can talk about us all you want, Malika, but remember this, that your strong, independent woman makes her money off the backs of. So you remember that, or we'll remind you. Until next time, peace and stay informed.